Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. I am so thrilled you're joining us because we've got a seriously fascinating look at the most critical global headlines for May 18th, 2026. If you've been trying to connect the dots between all these shifting superpower talks, sudden economic pivots, and breaking regional conflicts, well, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to look straight at the data, dive into the direct sources, and see exactly how these massive global events are intersecting right now.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today to help make sense of it all. We'll kick things off with superpower struggles and alliances. Then we'll move into Middle East tensions escalate. After that, we're looking at economic and legal shakeups, shifting over to global crises and unrest. And finally, we'll wrap up with a historic tennis milestone. So let's zoom way out and transition right into our macro geopolitical landscape with Section 1, Superpower Struggles and Alliances.
All right, so President Donald Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping just wrapped up 2 days of highly strategic talks over in Beijing. And honestly, the results are this fascinating mix of massive economic handshakes right alongside some incredibly stubborn geopolitical roadblocks. On one hand, we've got the wins, right? Agreements for China to purchase at least $17 billion a year in U.S. agricultural products all the way through 2028, plus an initial order of 200 Boeing aircraft. I mean, that is massive, concrete financial movement. But on the flip side, China's Commerce Ministry was super quick to stress that any implementation timelines or tariff rollbacks are strictly preliminary. Because when it comes to the deeper technology disputes and the military standoffs, those are still completely deadlocked. So while the money is definitely moving, the underlying structural tensions are entirely unresolved. And you know, this next quote brilliantly illustrates the real stakes of those unresolved tensions. Following some public statements from the U.S. executive branch suggesting Taiwan and China need to kind of cool down, Taiwanese leader William Lai Ching-te issued a deeply defiant response. He explicitly declared that Taiwan, and I quote, will never be sacrificed or traded away. It is a powerful reminder that while superpowers are busy negotiating these massive agricultural and aerospace deals, the regional players on the ground are holding firm to their own sovereignty. They are outright refusing to be used as bargaining chips.
Now, that kind of fractured global dynamic isn't just an Asian concern. Connect those previous superpower negotiations to the stark warning we just got from the European Union's foreign policy chief Kaja Kallas. She is actively warning that the US, China, and Russia are working to weaken the unity of the European bloc. And how are they doing it? Through fragmented bilateral dealings. Essentially, instead of engaging with Europe as one unified front, these massive powers are striking isolated, one-off deals. European leadership views this as a direct, calculated strategy to fracture global unity.
And that overarching global tension brings us right into Section 2, Middle East tensions escalate.
Right now, we are looking at a really intense web of simultaneous proxy conflicts and diplomatic moves erupting all at once. Over in the UAE, a drone actually struck an electrical generator just outside the inner perimeter of the Baraka nuclear energy plant. It caused a localized fire, but thankfully no radiation leaks. Almost at the exact same time, Saudi Arabia's air defenses had to intercept 3 drones crossing in from Iraqi airspace. Meanwhile, further north, ongoing diplomatic efforts for a 45-day ceasefire in Gaza and southern Lebanon completely fell apart when Israeli airstrikes killed several people, including 3 paramedics. On top of that, a controversial new military command order officially took effect, allowing the death penalty for Palestinians convicted of lethal attacks against Israelis in the occupied West Bank. And amidst all this rapid escalation, President Trump, who had been warning on social media that, quote, the clock is ticking for Iran, actually paused a scheduled retaliatory military strike. That pause came right after heavy diplomatic intervention from Gulf nations urging de-escalation. It is just a dense, rapidly moving map of regional spillover.
So the crucial point here is, how does all this localized military instability actually impact the rest of the world? Well, the answer comes down to one staggering number: $25 billion. A recent financial analysis looked at nearly 280 listed corporations across the US, Europe, and Asia, and it shows exactly what this regional chaos costs. When you add up the emergency shipping detours, sudden spikes in energy costs, and completely shuttered Middle East routes, sectors like airline, automotive, chemical, and oil have absorbed a massive $25 billion blow. Make no mistake, military geopolitics directly dictate the global economy.
Which means that massive corporate toll bridges us perfectly into Section 3, economic and legal shakeups.
We are seeing a massive cause and effect relationship playing out on the international stage right now. The U.S. Department of Justice has officially dropped those high-profile fraud and bribery charges against Indian billionaire Gautam Adani. And the apparent catalyst for this massive legal pivot? The Adani conglomerate's newly announced pledge to invest a whopping $10 billion into green energy infrastructure. It's a really remarkable objective look at how massive capital commitments and infrastructure pledges can rapidly alter international legal standings.
Speaking of high-stakes legal battles, we also have a major conclusion over in the tech world. A jury has completely thrown out Elon Musk's breach of contract lawsuit against OpenAI and its CEO, Sam Altman. This effectively puts to bed one of the tech industry's most closely watched, long-standing legal fights over OpenAI's shift toward commercialization. It's a massive legal blow to Musk, and it clears a huge hurdle for OpenAI moving forward.
Okay, while billions are shifting hands in courtrooms, localized events are commanding urgent global attention. Let's shift gears to Section 4, Global Crises and Unrest.
Now, what's really interesting about this next piece is the specific science driving international policy today. The World Health Organization has officially declared the ongoing Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda a public health emergency. The culprit here is the Bundibugyo Ebola virus strain, and the critical, frankly scary scientific fact here is that currently there is absolutely no approved vaccine for this specific strain. It's exactly this scientific reality that prompted the US CDC to activate its Emergency Operations Center and immediately deploy technical and lab teams down to Central Africa to escalate the response.
And compounding that global health crisis, we're also seeing some deep civil unrest across totally different continents, driven by vastly different catalysts. Just look at the sheer scope of this. In San Diego, California, a tragic incident involving teenage gunmen opening fire at an Islamic center left 3 victims dead, with police later discovering 2 suspected shooters dead nearby. Over in Kenya, sudden and severe state-regulated fuel price hikes sparked these massive nationwide demonstrations, leading to violent clashes with police that left 4 dead and 30 injured. And down in Bolivia, deep political rifts completely boiled over as protesters allied with former President Evo Morales got into violent clashes with state security forces near the capital. 3 vastly different triggers: extremist violence, economic pressure, and political polarization, each leading to tragic, chaotic outcomes on the global stage.
All right, let's move on and see how this builds a completely different kind of history. It is time for a necessary emotional reset with Section 5, a historic tennis milestone.
World #1 Jannik Sinner just claimed a historic 6th straight Italian Open title in Rome, taking down Casper Ruud 6-4, 6-4. But guys, it is not just the title that makes this so incredible. With this victory, Sinner literally joins the legendary Novak Djokovic as the only players in the entire history of the sport to win all 9 ATP Masters 1000 events. If that wasn't enough, he also extended his staggering Masters win streak to 34 matches. It's just an unbelievable display of athletic dominance and such a fantastic milestone to witness. Wow, okay, we have covered an immense amount of ground in this explainer today. From shifting superpower alliances and devastating proxy wars, to landmark corporate legal battles, public health emergencies, and historic athletic achievements, the global landscape is constantly resetting. As we wrap up, I really want to leave you with this final, provocative thought. Look at the sheer interconnectedness of everything we've analyzed today. From shifting superpower alliances to billions lost in proxy wars, the global landscape is resetting. So, which of today's ripples will become tomorrow's wave? Thank you so much for learning with me today. Stay curious, stay focused, and keep seeking out the structure and the noise. Catch you next time.